All right. Well, welcome back to the Regent Law Podcast. I'm really excited today for both our guest who's with us and also the program that she's going to teach us all about. Today, we're going to be learning about the Bachelors of Law program at Regent University. And there's no better person to tell us about it than the director of that program, Crystal Barnett. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to have another Regent Law alumnus and fellow Virginia Beach attorney, along with myself, representing here today. Crystal, could you tell us about all the roles that you play at Regent?
Absolutely. As you mentioned, I am a faculty member at Regent University School of Law. So, my title is Lecturer and Director of Online Programs. So, I sort of have a couple of different jobs. One is that I teach our JD students legal research and writing, and then my second sort of aspect is that I direct our Masters of Law program and our Bachelors of Law program, where I also teach legal research and writing. So those are that's that it's kind of a wide gamut.
I am looking for multiple heads because you wear a ton of hats.
Yes, yes.
So I heard you say you teach our JD students, you
Yes,
direct and teach our Masters of Law students,
yes,
you direct and teach the bachelor's program,
that's correct.
and you're a practicing attorney here in town.
And I am, yes, I am still practicing. I do transactional and business law. So
Fantastic, amazing, way to go! So these for the listening students, you can do many things with legal education.
you absolutely can. I That is definitely true because you will notice that the theme of all of my jobs is they are all legally centered.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And whichever one of these programs you do, it should make you think more legally, which is your brain. If you have interest in this program, your brain might be a little bit like that, but legal education
it
twists you and
hones it,
shapes you. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yes, it really develops the skills.
Well, fantastic. Well, like you said, we've got a JD program, we've got an MA, master's program, we've got a
Mhm,
bachelor's program. Today, we're going
mhm.
to focus on the Bachelor's of Law at Regent University. I'm saying it specifically that way because it is an undergrad program of the university, correct?
Correct. Yes. So a bachelor's of law student it's an interesting dynamic because they are students with Regent University. They're accepted by Regent University, take all of their general education classes through Regent University. And then when it comes time for them to focus in on their courses for their degree, the bachelor's of law degree,
Yeah,
then that's where the law school steps in. So in a way, they are also law school students. So they are both part of the university community at large, and they're part of the law school community.
fantastic. I think that's a really helpful way to view it. So, um, I got a question here. So tell me exactly what is the Bachelor's of Law program? If I want to go get an engineering degree, I might have an idea of what that is. What exactly is the Bachelor's of Law program? Since we've mentioned three programs here,
Right.
what
Yeah.
is the Bachelor's of Law?
Yeah. And honestly, that's a great question because a lot of places don't offer a bachelor's of law program. So we're definitely on the forefront in terms of offering this degree. A bachelor's of law program is not a pre law, it is a degree in law. And so the beauty about our program is that when we first developed it, it was developed with the idea of teaching substantive law and legal topics to undergraduate students. So our classes are actually taught by adjunct professors who, for the most part, are all practicing attorneys.
Okay,
And the classes that we're teaching in our Bachelor's of Law program are very similar in substance to the classes that we teach our JD students, our students who want to become attorneys. And so we teach things like research and writing, legal ethics. We teach contracts. We teach civil procedure. We teach about the U.S. Constitution. And for people who have been to law school, they're thinking, "Oh, I took all of those classes." And so, but the goal of these classes is really for someone who maybe has a profound interest in the law, of maybe working in a field that's legally related, but they don't want to be an attorney. Right? There are a lot of jobs out there that that consist of interacting with the law, that require some knowledge about the law, that are not actually practicing the law, right? So we think of things like human resources, or we think of insurance, or we think of probation officers or police officers. So the goal of our Bachelors of Law program is actually to prepare students who know that they need a bachelor's degree
Right.
and know that they're probably going to graduate and look for a job in a legally adjacent or related field. And so this sort of provides them with a foundation of legal knowledge that they can take to their job with them when they graduate.
And I'll add this in and correct me if I'm wrong. I came to law school kind of later in my career, and I'll tell you,
Mhm.
all the other stops along the way, um, what you're talking about would have benefited me anyways because I was looking at contracts all the time.
Right.
A few times I went to court, and let me tell you, I would have loved to have some sort of knowledge. I was constantly winging it and just thinking,
Yes.
do other, I, no one taught me how to look at a contract. I'm just using I'm just,
You're trying to figure it out on your own. Yeah, so you think about like entrepreneurs or small business owners, right? They have to interact with the law often on their own. There are a lot of just a lot of careers out there that are really very intertwined with the law. They don't require someone to be an attorney, or to be practicing the law, but it does help to have that sort of foundation of legal knowledge that they can take into their job. Now, I will say that the program, the way it was developed, was not intended to prepare students to go to law school,
okay.
right? So we developed this program with the idea that there are people who want to learn about the law but don't want to go to law school, which is fair.
So that their undergrad BA degree here, or sorry, not BA, bachelor's in law degree
Yeah, it's a BA. Yeah, Bachelor's of
would
Arts in
be
Law.
would be the finish line.
Yes,
They don't have
right.
to go on. They don't have to take the bar. It's a degree in
Exactly.
and of itself.
Exactly. And sort of the terminology that we like to use is it's intended to be a terminal degree, right? It's supposed to be the degree that they can walk away from and say, and now I'm ready to go out into the workforce and get a job. It is actually not intended to be the type of degree that's like, oh, it's preparing me for law school. Well, I'll add a caveat to that, which is that the Bachelor's of Law program, the way it was originally designed, so which is our original Bachelor's of Law program, is intended to be a terminal program. However, we have recently introduced a new concentration in our program, because we did get a lot of students who were like, I'm really interested in the law and maybe I want to go to law school, but I don't know what that looks like. Will these classes help me? And we had to say, no, these classes are for you to just learn about the law. And so finally, we thought to ourselves, who better to tell people about what they need to know and prepare to go to law school than a law school. So we've
Right.
developed a new concentration in our Bachelor's in Law program. We call it our legal education concentration, preparation concentration. And the whole point of it actually is to help students develop and learn the skills that they need to successfully get into law school and then to be successful law students.
Okay.
So this secondary concentration is really more about not a terminal degree, not for someone who's actually wanting to graduate with their bachelor's degree and get a career, but for the student who's coming into their bachelor's program. They know they want to go to law school. They know they have to take the LSAT. They know they need to develop skills so that they can do well in applying to law school and then being a successful law school student. We've developed a concentration now that actually focuses on developing those skills. So what's really nice is we've partnered with LSAC, who is the creator of the law school entrance admissions test, and we are now official licensee with them. So what that allows us to do is provide LSAT prep classes to our Bachelors of Law students, using official LSAT materials. So that's one of the resources that we can provide to help prepare them to get into law school.
Well, that's really helpful, and that will definitely color my question and the answer to my next question. I was going to say, so who might be interested in these programs? And it sounds like, uh, you know, I don't know if those are the only two kind of tracks.
For
Sounds like
now,
the
yeah.
type of people that are interested or should be considering the programs. are in two different buckets.
Yes, yes, they are definitely in two different buckets. So everyone's in the same bucket in that they're interested in law, right? So it's got to be, we're all about the law here at the law school. So there is that. But we do have two different programs. One is for those that are interested in a terminal degree, learning about some substantive knowledge about the law, and then going on to get a job. And then we have our second concentration, which is for students who know that they want to get into law school and they want to be they want to learn the skills that they need in order to be successful law school applicants and then law school students.
Okay. Um, Quick question. I was thinking about the new concentration.
Mm-hmm.
I know we offer a 3+3 program.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you maybe tell our listeners real quick what the 3+3 is and how it might fit
Sure.
into this?
Yeah. So the 3+3 program is actually offered as a collaboration with Regent University, the all of the university and our law school. So you don't have to be a bachelor's in law program student in order to participate in 3+3. But what it allows students to do is spend 3 years in their undergraduate degree program and then 3 years in law school. So that's the 3+3.
Yep.
And then they graduate with both their bachelor's degree and their JD. So it's kind of knocking out a year. So instead of 4 years in undergrad and 3 years in law school, it's just 3 and 3. And the way that traditionally works is that if you are an undergrad student at Regent, usually you need to have taken all of your classes that are related to your major. So let's say, for example, that you're majoring in economics. Well, you need to finish all of your required courses for your economics degree
Right.
before you can be considered to do the 3+3 program, because that first year of law school, you're not going to take any economics classes, right? So
Right.
you have to get all of those classes out of the way. Now, if you're interested in 3+3 and you're a B law student, which is what we call our Bachelors of Law students, it's kind of nice because we allow some of the courses from your first year of law school to count towards the degree program. So you don't have to take all of your bachelor's of law classes before you become a law student. So it does make being a 3+3 student a little bit easier. So if you come in, you know that you want to go to law school, you know you want to do 3+3, you can, become a B law student. You can take our LSAT prep classes. We have a couple of other required classes that you have to take on worldview and ethics, and then after that you can apply to law school. And if you get in, all goes well, you take the LSAT, you apply, you get in, then your first year of law school will count those classes towards your bachelor's degree.
Fantastic. So it sounds like there's a few different types of students who would really benefit from the bachelor's program, but the two tracks are an important differentiating factor here.
Yes.
Um, in large part because of what's at the finish line, right?
Right.
What you want.
Right.
Your career outcomes are very different. Just a reminder to any students interested: if you want to be an attorney, you have to pass the bar and have a JD. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just a that's the starting point. You have to consider going to law school full time as a
Right.
JD student.
Absolutely.
Um, but there's also an awesome number of legally adjacent jobs that are available for bachelors of law and masters of law students, of which Professor Barnett talked about earlier. HR, a lot of things in law enforcement,
Mm-hmm.
and frankly, a lot of positions at just businesses in
Just
general.
businesses, regulations, compliance. Like every business needs someone who knows those things, right? Contract review, cybersecurity, all of those different types of things. They all require a legal aspect to them. So.
Fantastic. Well, I now know a lot more about the Bachelors of Law program. For our listeners out there who are very interested, first off, I would just say you're listening, and what you might realize is, okay, now you know where to go to check out the program, but talking to a person who understands the differences between the two tracks might be important. Now, if you
Mhm.
know you don't have interest in going to law school, that makes it a bit more easy. But where can our listeners go to find out more information about any of these programs, but specifically, let's say the Bachelors of Law
Their
program?
bachelor's in law. Yeah, so they can definitely go to regent.edu, their website. We have some information there. So if we can drop that link later,
Yep.
there's a link that talks all about the bachelor's program. And then reaching out actually to Regent Advising, they are happy to assist and talk through all of the different nuances and just different, course plans and schedules and things like that. So
Thank you for reminding me about the links we can drop. So I said
yeah,
our listeners, but likely many of you are watching. So if you're watching this on YouTube, below in the caption, we will have links exactly where you can go check this out. If you're just listening and you can't remember everything we just said, just Google Bachelors of Law, Regent University. You don't even have
absolutely.
to capitalize it, and it'll
No,
take you right to it. Hey, Crystal, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I think it's really helpful. And of course, anybody listening out there who has interest, we both can't speak highly enough. We're graduates of the law school here and the university.
absolutely.
Uh, it's a wonderful place to consider, and I hope you do.
Thank you.
All right. Well, once again, thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you guys later.